Hey y'all, my name is Cassie and I'm the creator of Pieces of Scrap, and in today's video we're going to be going over some of my makes for the month of April, May, just the past couple weeks actually, and then we're also going to be assembling my Ditsy Daisy Granny Square blanket that I made from blanket yarn. So behind me I have lots of goodies that are kind of like hiding off screen, and they're all like tested patterns and then some market prep patterns that I've been working on. No patterns of my own, it's just stuff that I've been doing in my free time when I like to play video games. Like I've been playing My Time at Sandrock. It's kind of similar to like Stardew Valley or any of those type of games if you are familiar with what those games are, except it's like different graphic style, but instead of having a farm, you have a workshop and you make items and like build things for people. And there's lots of cutscenes, and so when I'm going through like dialogue with people or cutscenes and things like that, I like to crochet while I watch those things. So I have been making some things for market prep. So first thing is I made 5 of each of these. They're both the mini whale pattern by Coffee and Crochet. It's free on her Instagram. They're like squishy little stress ball guys, and the only thing you have to sew on is the tail itself. The tail is 2 pieces of the same pattern, and then you just cover your color change transition on the back of the whales, and it makes these cute little squishy whales. I used this, it's a yarn I picked up from Michael's. I think it is a Sweet Snuggles yarn, but I can't quite be sure. But it's got lots of color changes in it, and this is like the same yarn as well, it's just a different color. It comes up a lot darker on camera. You can see his face and like his eyes and stuff a lot better in person. But I really love how the lighter blue colors came out on the whale. It looks so cute. It, like, kind of reminds me of reflections off of like the ocean water, stuff like that. You've got these like pretty little sparkly shine to it. That's what it reminds me of. And then this one is like the deeper, darker, like maybe nighttime version of that whale, but I think this one will probably be more popular. I made 5 of each of them, and then I've been working on cranking out some mini mallards. So I've made 2 of these guys in this color combination, and I'm working on a 3rd one, and I might make a 4th one, I don't know, but I also want to make these in purple and just like the normal mallard colors as well. Other than that, I have some pattern tester call things that I want to show you. So this is Cuddles the Bear by Edith's Amy Adventures, and it's a free pattern on our Instagram. It doesn't include the embroidered flowers on it. That's just something that I wanted to add myself just to make him a little less plain, but it's a really cute bear. I used, I think, like a 8 or 9 millimeter hook to make him so that he came out quite a bit bigger. But I added all these pretty flowers on the side of him just to spruce him up a little bit. And in the future, I saw that on my last vlog video, somebody requested that I show you guys how I embroider those flowers on. So in the future, next time I do something like this, I will record it so that you guys can see exactly how I embroider those flowers on, so that if you want to do that in the future, you can definitely do it yourself. But anyway, Cuddles the Bear by Edith's Amy Adventures on Instagram. Free pattern. Make sure you go check it out and follow her if you haven't already. And then after that pattern tester call, I got chosen to participate in the tester call for 1 Cent Crochet's 3-in-1 Jumbo Cow pattern. So this is a pattern that has 3 different variations of the same cow. I opted to make the strawberry cow, but there's also like a cookie cow, and then there is also a mushroom version. So same thing, mushroom necklace, and then it's like a red and white cow. So yeah, if you are interested in getting that pattern for yourself, make sure you check it out on 1 Cent Crochet's page. She has it for sale on her Etsy, so make sure you check it out. And then finally, I just finished the pattern tester call for Boulette at Sea. Her pattern is a mini Quackers pattern, and it comes with variations and mods to make different versions of the original Quacker. So this is the original Quacker. It's just the main body color, no color changes or anything like that. You add this piece onto the head to make it look like he's got like a cute little feather sticking up. The beak, wings, feet, and tail are all separate, and you sew them on, and it's all really, really cute. But it also has a mod in the pattern to make a penguin, so I made a penguin, and also a chicken or rooster, and then you can also make a mallard. That's the one I didn't get to, but there's also a mod to make a mallard if you would like a mallard. But they're all so, so cute, and I love how they turned out. Make sure you check it out on her Etsy if you want to purchase the pattern. Anyway, so I've got this big box of squares now, and I have, somebody recommended this to me in my last vlog as well, and it was something that I was already planning on doing, but I'm glad that somebody else was like, yeah, you should probably think about how you're attaching or assembling your squares, but to use a thinner weight of yarn, and I was definitely planning to do that already. I was just not sure what kind I wanted to use, so I think I settled on this pink velvet. This is retro velvet from Premier Parfait, or it's Bernat velvet. I can't remember. They're both very, very similar, but I have a lot of this pink, and I only have like this much of the white, and I use the white a lot, but I don't use the pink a lot. So I think I'm going to be opting for using this pink to crochet the squares together. But anyway, I wanted to show you all my squares. So I ended up having to get one of these pink ones. This is the only one of this color, but there's a lot more pink. I ended up grabbing that pink that I was showing you guys in the other video to make squares. So I think there's like 9 of these, and then I grabbed the blue version of that same Bernat yarn, and there are like 7 of these, I think. And then I also have the flower version of those. There's not a flower version of these. I got this cream color. I went to Hobby Lobby because I was like, I'm almost out of the colors that I need, and I don't know if I would have enough color variations to finish the blanket. So I got more green, I got more of this blue, and then I got this yellow and pink, or the cream and the pink, and so I made some cream squares. This skein just like, it didn't give me as much as the blue or the green did, which was really weird because it's supposed to be the same yardage. For the blue and the green, I got like 9 squares out of each of them, I think. And then for this cream, I got 7 squares only. So that was surprising to me that I only got that much out of it. Anyway, got the greens. I've got this speckled orangey cream color. And then there's another, I don't really want to dig it out of here. You'll see it later in the video. There's a pink version of this. And then I was showing you guys in the last video, I have dark blue squares, speckle squares of each of these colors. I've got some of that mauve purple color, but I ran out of that very quickly. So I have squares, like the solid squares, and then I have daisy squares of those as well. But anyway, we're going to start laying this out. How I'm gonna work it is every other square is going to be a daisy, and then every other square will be a solid. We'll start laying that out now. I definitely don't have the same amount of each color square, so I will have to play around with that and see how I want it to lay out. So yeah, let's get started on doing that. finished laying them out, and man, I didn't expect the blanket to be this big. I had like measured it out on the floor once I got like 20 or so squares done, and I like laid down on the floor to like determine how long I wanted it to be, and I measured out in inches how big it would be. And man, just like seeing it like this is crazy, because like I have a king size bed for perspective, and it covers the king size bed lengthwise, and I think it is like the perfect width to like wrap around myself and like just be a little blanket burrito. I did have one square left over, which I'm not complaining about. I have one square. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it because it doesn't fit in there. I guess when I did the math, it makes sense that there's one square left over, because of the checkerboard pattern, there was gonna be somewhere one of the two, either the daisies or the solid squares were gonna have one extra than the other, because that's just the nature of this. But yeah, it's so pretty, it's so colorful, it's like pretty pastel colors, which I'm like super into. So anyway, now what I have to do is I need to put them in stacks, and I think I might run upstairs and get my post-it notes, because I'll want to remember what side is the top and what is the bottom, because if I don't remember that, it will make assembling it really hard. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stack this way, I think. So that side to that side will be on top. And then I will just have to make sure that when I'm assembling it, I line the correct squares up to the correct squares. So I'm also gonna take a picture of the blanket so I know what I should be attaching to what. But I also need post-it notes so that I can know what side is what, and yeah, number them and stuff like that so that I get the correct rows correct. And then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna assemble one long strip on camera for you guys so you can see me crocheting it together. And then I'll come back later in the video when it is 100% complete. All right, so I've got all of my rows stacked and labeled and rubber banded so that they don't come apart or out of order. So now I've got row 1 and row 2, and I've got my yarn that I'm gonna use to crochet it together. I'm gonna use a 5mm hook, and I'm just gonna hang out here. I have my TV in the corner here. I'm gonna watch something while I work on crocheting these 2 rows together. So wish me luck. All right guys, so as you can see, I finished putting together 2 of the rows. So they're all stuck together now, and I really like how it came out on the inside. I was worried it was gonna stick up really far and be kind of ugly, because that's what the inside of my granny square bags look like. It like sticks up really far, but because the yarn that I used is a thinner weight than the squares themselves, I think it made it look so much better. It looks so much cleaner. It looks like flush to the squares. And I love the pink trim in between each of the squares. So it makes, I was really worried that I was gonna have to get backing to sew on to the back of the blanket, but obviously I don't think that's gonna be a problem. That's actually really pretty. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I haven't been crocheting over my ends just because I want to make sure that they're really weaved in really well. So I am going to sew them into the seams themselves and like crochet, like make sure that they are very secure, especially because blankets like this, when I've done this in the past and I've just crocheted over the ends, those ends come undone somehow eventually because of like the weight of the blanket pulling it. And they just come undone. So then, yeah, my past granny square blankets or quilted blankets like this one in the past have just, they come apart. So I wanna make sure that they are really good in there, like they're really sewn in well and lots of knots and stuff. So once I finish all of the rows, that'll be the next step, to secure all these loose ends and make sure that they are actually secure and won't come apart. But I'm just so happy that this came out so well and that it looks so good. So next step, which you guys won't see, is putting all the other rows together. Oh, and then I wanted to show you the seam here. I learned this from my Yeezy kit. If you crochet into the, if you're looking at here, if you have 2 squares sandwiched together like this, and you crochet into the front loop, or stick your hook into the front loop that is facing you, and then the back loop of the back square that is facing away from you, and you crochet through both of those, you get this kind of seamless finish where you can't really see that you crocheted through the squares. Whereas I'll put a picture on screen of one of my granny square bags in the past. It comes out more looking like crocheted into the squares and you can see that seam. But with this, you can't really see the seam unless the blanket kind of stretches out. So very happy with how that turned out. Anyway, I will check in with you guys later once I have more of the blanket done. Hey guys, so as you can see, I've made some progress on the blanket. I have everything through row 6 attached, and all of my ends on the other side are weaved in except for the edges, of course. And then yesterday I was in town, so I ended up stopping at Walmart and I got 2 skeins of this burnout blanket in vintage white. And so this will be what the border of the blanket will be crocheted with. But up until that point, I still have 3 more rows to attach, and it's going a lot slower than it was yesterday, because yesterday I was just attaching, and like I was crocheting the rows together, but I wasn't weaving in the ends as I went, and now I'm weaving in the ends as I go. So like once I attach the row and I get to these corners and I attach vertically so if you're not familiar, I first crochet horizontally, and then all of these edges here in between each square are not attached, so then I have to go back and crochet up each of those edges so that they are also attached. And doing that allows me to go to each of these corners where I attach and weave in those ends. So that's what I've been doing as I go now, and it makes me go a little bit slower, unfortunately, but it will save me a lot of annoyance at the end when, you know, weaving in ends is like the worst. If you've ever seen anybody in their crocheting videos before, it's always the thing that we dread the most. So I've just been trying to do it as I go now. And yeah, so that's all the progress I've made so far. I'm going to try to finish this today. If I don't finish it today, I will definitely finish it tomorrow. So we'll see how far I get. Hopefully I finish it today. Hopefully I get to crocheting the border today. That'll be really easy. And then all I have to do after that is show you guys the final product. So I'm very excited about that. So I finished assembling it. It is behind me and I'll just get some closer shots of it, but all I have left to do is crochet around the entire thing a border. I think I'm gonna do half double crochets, and the only ends that I didn't weave in are on the edges, so I will just crochet over them so that you can't see them anymore, and that will leave me a lot less weaving in ends. So I'm really excited to finish that up. It looks so good. I'm so excited about it. So it is so close to being done and I'm really excited to have kind of like a natural weighted blanket, because that's kind of what it is. It's really heavy and it'll be a nice weighted blanket. I'm really excited for it. Hey guys, I finished the blanket. Are you ready to see it? So I can't really hold it up to give it its full justice and glory in one shot, unfortunately. You saw it's kind of like draping on the bed because it's taller than me. But anyway, I finished the border. I did a half double crochet around and I weaved in all of those ends. And it is a very, very heavy blanket, I will say. I weighed myself and then I weighed myself holding the blanket, and when I subtracted those two from each other, I got 5 pounds. This blanket weighs 5 pounds, so it definitely feels like somebody's like sitting on your shoulders and like maybe like if they had their arms around your shoulders and were like dragging all their weight. That's what it feels like when this thing is around my shoulders like this, but it's so soft. I'm very happy to have made it. Problem is now I don't know where I'm gonna keep it, or if I'm gonna keep it in here like on the foot of my bed, or if I'm gonna keep it like folded up somewhere for me to easily access it for when I want to use it. The biggest thing is my living room is kind of like where my dogs sleep at night, and there's lots of blankets there, but they are easily washable in the washing machine, whereas this I don't want to get dirty or ruined in any way, so I'm gonna be very protective of it. So if I do use it in the living room, it's not gonna live in the living room like overnight or something like that, unless I'm physically there. Yeah, so I have to protect this blanket with all my heart and soul because I poured so many hours into making this. If I were to estimate how long this took me, I think with the time lapse of me making like crocheting the first 2 rows together, that probably took 45 minutes. And if we factor in, I made, it's 9 by 12, like 12 wide. So there were 9 rows of 12 squares. And if let me quickly try to figure out what the math would be for that, and then I'll come back to you guys. All right, I'm back and I did my maths in my calculator. I don't know if they're correct. What I did was, so there's 9 rows. The first 2 rows together took me 45 minutes. So with that, I took 9 divided by 4.5, because 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. And then I took that number and divided it by 60. And that gave me 3.5-ish hours I worked on this thing. And that isn't taking into consideration all of the squares I made. Every one of these squares takes 10 minutes, if I'm remembering correctly. And the border, I don't know how long that took me, but it took a while. It probably took about 30 to 45 minutes as well to do the border. And I'll be right back for math. All right, sorry I keep cutting in and out, guys. I am very bad at math. I think I have dyslexia when it comes to numbers, so doing math in my head is like nearly impossible, and especially when I'm put on the spot like this, it's just like, it gets in my head a lot, and so I can't just do it on the spot. Anyway, I calculated it, and all of the squares, just doing the squares, creating the squares, and there are 108 of them, it took me probably around 18 hours. And then assembling it probably took me about 4 to 5 hours now that we're like adding everything up. So that is a day and a half straight of crocheting created this giant blanket, and therefore I'm going to protect it with everything I have and make sure it doesn't get damaged or ruined, because my dogs like to scratch things up on accident, especially with like holy things like this. I had another quilt that I put on our daybed upstairs, which is where our bigger dog likes to take naps and sleep and stuff, and she has torn the seams apart on that one just like by jumping up on the daybed and like gripping it with her nails and stuff like that. So this one will be taken care of much better than that one. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you really did. I really just like poured my heart and soul into creating this thing. And I really hope you guys like it. And if you plan on doing this in the future, make sure you go about it kind of like the same way that I did, where I took some graphing paper, graphed out the squares so that I knew how many squares that I needed. And then on top of that, I also, once I made the first handful of initial squares, I also placed them on the ground and like measured the 3x3s to see how wide they would be to determine how many squares I would need to make my blanket and how big it would be. Of course, if you guys remember, I did not plan for it to be this big. But if you're like me, you understand math is difficult, it's overwhelming sometimes, it's easy to mess things up when it comes to numbers, at least for me. And so just make sure if you plan on doing this yourself that you maybe get somebody else to like check your work for you. It would have been really easy for me to just be like, hello husband, can you just make sure that this all makes sense and that this isn't gonna be too big? I'm not complaining that it came out so big, it was just a lot of work and it's very heavy, and I was initially only going for like a throw blanket, but this is like almost a queen size blanket. Anyway, not upset at all. It was a lot of work, but I'm very happy about how it turned out. I'm gonna cherish this blanket forever, and I hope that it's just something that I look back on and I'm very proud of, because in the past when I've done blankets like this, it has never been blanket yarn, but it has been like acrylic yarn or similar, and I am always disappointed in the result after it is finished. So I'm very happy with how this one turned out, and I'm just like proud to see how much I've progressed in blanket making in general. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan to do something like this yourself, what you're working on, if it's not a blanket, stuff like that. I love to hear what you guys are working on, and it's really exciting for me to like give you guys advice about different things that you might need to know. Like a couple people in my last video asked me for market prepping advice or pricing advice, and it made me realize that maybe in the future I should probably do a pricing video about how I price my items, because that is something that is very valuable for people to know themselves if they're wanting to do markets. So if that is of interest of you, make sure you tell me in the comments down below, and I will get started on prepping that video so that you guys have your own like kind of tips and tricks for market prepping and getting ready for your first market and stuff like that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I put out new videos every Tuesday, so if you enjoy my content and want to see more in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn on notifications if you want to be notified every single time I upload. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!